Understanding Advanced Outline Properties. We are now continuing on page 35 of your working file, Outline Properties. Well, we have discussed in detail outline style to quite a depth. We will quickly look at all these other options here and a few other things along the way. Well, I will delete this. I am going to work without converted text, converted to a curve, remember? Let's zoom in and we will jump in and see how we got here 1. What I am going to do first of all is add a rather thick outline to this object. Now, one thing I didn't show you before was additionally to choosing anything in drop-down, you can ask the top of value in here. So let's type in a value of, hit enter, and we have added a rather thick outline to this object. Well, of course, if I were to give this a fill, now while that is an interesting look, it's probably, on average, not what you're going to be looking for. What I want is, I want you to see here. If I select this, plus on my keyboard, and a thin outline given a black color. This black outline that you can see here, well, that's where the original outline of the object is, and you can see that by going to Simple Wireframe mode as well. You will notice how this thick 5-point outline has moved both on the inside and on the outside of the original line. Come back to Enhanced. Now, depicting that for you there on either side of the black, you can see we see this big green outline, don't we? Well, if I remove that, there is a way so that when I give this a fill, that the outline is not overtaking the inside fill. If we come up to Properties and choose Behind Fill, what we are doing is assigned to that outline. Make sure if there's a fill in the subject, fill behind that fill. Click OK, and now we see the integrity of the object in terms of its filled area is not covered by the outline. Additionally, if I select my object now and I scaled down, you will notice how the outline thickness, well, it's really overtaking the object altogether, and it looks quite incorrect. Well, again, Outline Properties. The next option is Scaled with Image. If you turn that on, every time you resize your image in any form, the outline will be scaled down in its thickness, the same as the object maintaining the right relationship between outline thickness and the size of the object. Now also, some more parameters that we have found on Properties affect the way the corners are created. You see these nice pointy corners we have here. Well, we have 3 options, which are these nice pointy corners, or we can go with round the corners. Click OK, and that really does make the object look rather different. In this particular case, because it is a text object, it does really look quite different, doesn't it? Another option we have is to go with a bevel corner. So click Bevel, click OK, and again, we have made quite a change. And really, we are not changing the shape of the object, it's only the way the outline is being drawn that we are affecting. And there are lots of advantages in that, and that you'll see over time. F4 zoom back out. So we have covered all of these here, so I quickly want to spend some of my time on outline, converting an outline object. So I'm going to use this word food that I have got here, and I am going to type in point size of 185, just so that you have got a reference to copy this, and what we're going to do is I am going to convert this to curves. Control Q. I am going to approach this lock on a sign writer, for example, and I want to cut this out on Vital. Although it applies to many design effects and ideas, particularly sign writers will enjoy this approach. If I select my object, let's just type in a value of, say, 6 points. Hit Enter. Now, what I am going to do is come straight up to Arrange, down to Convert Outline to Object. What that does is it takes that black outline and it actually makes it its own object. If we go to View and Simple Wireframe, you can see it has its own outline now. Now if I pop the red one down here, I am going to do it again. Now that this is an object, I am actually going to give it an outline also. So if I right-click on the color blue, for example, coming of the end there, and now I am going to convert that also to an object. So arrange, convert outline to object. So now we have three objects. I have the black one, the red one, and I have this blue one here. Now onto itself, that actually doesn't look too bad, does it? That looks like a really interesting design approach, and I quite like that. But what I am going to do is I am going to break this apart and remove the fill. Right-click, give it an outline, and I am going to just delete the inner parts of it. Now I am just doing this to really show you some interesting ways to approach design. So we have already seen one nice design out of that, and I am just deleting all of the inner parts. Here we go. Now I am going to select all of that and combine it. Recombined makes a single object again, and I will fill that with color blue. I will remove the outline, right-click so that I don't need it anymore, and that also is a rather interesting looking design. But now I am going to add a list together. So my red one followed by my blue one, and I want my black one to be on top. Shift page up. And in fact, I want the red one to come up one as well. Control page up. There we go. Now just select everything and then A and C on your keyboard. As you can see, I have got a nice blue outline all the way around the outside, and I have got the black, and then I have got the red. Let's make that blue. Yellow in color. Now select the red, and with my interactive fill tool, click and drag. Drag and drop the color yellow at the top, and what do you think of that for design? It has a nice glow to it, and it really does stand off the page. It works really, really well. But here is the important part of this, and again, every industry is different, but I have three objects to create this design, and I can cut all three out on a plotter if I wanted to. Of course I need a print, the fate, or I buy a vital material that is already fading, but all in all, the design onto itself is quite nice, and along the way, if we quickly undo, there were lots of little designs that we could have used. That's an interesting design. We go back to where we had the multiple object. That's an interesting looking design, and that's an interesting looking design. So there is a lot there that we discovered by converting outlines to objects, and I would like for you to play with. A few more things quickly. I just want to show you this. I am going to zoom in. What I have here is an outline, one single line that has a very thick pointed outline around that. I have just put that white there to depict it for you. Let me go to View and Simple Wireframe Knot. All this is a single straight line that has a 16-point outline. Now here is all I want to show you is this. See how the outline, this perfectly, even top and bottom, and there is nothing in the end. If you were to choose an alternative style line, say you wanted the round-ended cap, you can have nice looking effects like that. We have got a nice round end, but the important thing I want you to see is that the distance from the center outward is also the same distance from the end outward. So when you put this on a piece of paper, your line will be physically longer than the measurement it is up here because of that added thick outline that you can see there. That really was just simply information for you, more than anything else, that in time you might be glad you understood. Last point. See how the word click and learn is standing off the page here compared to the orange background? That's because of the white outline it has. If I were to select this, right-click and remove the outline, can you see it no longer has that same impact? And this is really important to understand in the world of design. Now if I select that again, I want you to look at the finger on Control and select that, so separate. Watch the shadow in the background as I give this a white outline. Make it a little bit thicker. Can you see now how it stands apart from the shadow? It really does look a lot better, doesn't it? So it's important to remember that outlines, or we call them key lines in the printing industry, it's important to make them part of your design process. That will really help to make objects, particularly on dark backgrounds, stand out, even to the point where if I click on the shadow and right-click and give that on the outline as well, that also now stands out from the background. So remember, outlines, when you are designing, are very, very important.